I wasn't going to tell a tall tale this year. I didn't really have anything up my sleeve until I realized what the date of this event was, and I thought, I do have a story to tell after all. One of the roles I find myself playing with my family is that of the finder. If anybody misplaces or loses something, I'm the one who gets to find it. Mom, I can't find my bra. Have you looked on the clothesline? Elizabeth, honey, where are my sunglasses? Howard, they're on your head, goofball. Thankfully, that's not the only job I have. I have one that pays. And as part of my job, I get to go on a patrol every summer in remote locations of the park. Several years ago now, I found myself at the airstrip with Cynthia as my partner in crime, my volunteer in the park, as we were getting ready for a trip. Our backpacks were loaded with 6 days of food and fuel and a complicated array of electronic devices. Satellite phone, Bendix King radio, GPS unit, and here comes Stevens trying to hand me a metal detector of all things. What? No, I don't want that. Remember, he says, remember, you're going to the location where the gentleman went missing. Oh, right, the gentleman. Years and years ago now, a gentleman came to go out into the backcountry in September. A solo trip. He was an avid hiker, a photographer, loved nature and the animals. He did not show back up at the airstrip for his pickup. What ensued was a massive, massive search that some of you may well remember. Fixed-wing helicopter searching over many square miles, dozens of people with their boots on the ground, marching through the tundra and the brush trying to find him. When the snowstorm set in, they had to call the search off. They didn't find him, much to the devastation of his wife and family. Several years after that, Greg and Kristen found themselves traveling along in the general area, an old vague mining trail, and spotted something up on the alpine bench above them and thought, that doesn't seem quite right. And they climbed up there to take a look, and sure enough, they had found the last resting place of the gentleman. After they reported the discovery, Greg found himself being flown back out to the site with Maddie and Stevens to do the recovery. They pounded a metal stake into the ground right in the middle of all the personal and physical remains. They set out a 20-meter wide grid search, and they got down on their hands and knees for 3 days. They crawled across the tundra, searching every square foot for everything they could find. They found his wallet and finger bones and his belt buckle, boots, leg bone, warm wool hat, and his skull. Back at the airstrip, Stevens is still trying to hand me a metal detector. He said, remember, there were 3 things that we didn't find. There were 3 personal items that we didn't recover when we were out there. Okay, I said, I'll go look, but I'm not taking the metal detector. I plugged the coordinates into the GPS device, and away Cynthia and I go. Several days into our trip, we find ourselves closing in on the location. Hey, look, we're about 100 feet away. We start walking up a little muddy draw, and I lean down and out of the mud, I pull the sodden raincoat. Cynthia's eyes widen. We dig through the pockets of the raincoat, and I pull out the broken eyeglasses. Cynthia is beside herself. You just found the raincoat and the eyeglasses. There's only one thing left to find. We walk up onto the alpine bench. Okay, the GPS device says we're about 30 feet away from where that metal stake was pounded into the ground. Let's see if we can find it. Looking around, I walk forward a few steps. I look between my feet, and I bend down to pick up what my brain is thinking is a piece of garbage, maybe a bottle cap. But what I pick up is the gentleman's gold wedding band. Cynthia is truly beside herself. You found it! You found it! I cannot believe you found the gold wedding band! This is crazy! too was beside myself. What I thought was a fool's errand had definitely struck gold. Back in McCarthy, I leave the ring for Stevens on his desk, and I get back to my family and my job. And you know how summers are. Busy. Things get really busy. I gotta find like missing dirty socks for my son. And up at work, I have to tell the locals they need to put their dogs on leash while they're in Kennecott. So it wasn't until September that I got around to cornering Stevens. So how'd it go? How'd it go when you called the widow to tell her about finding the gold ring? Oh, he shakes his head and is sheepish, and he says, I got busy. I didn't do it. I haven't called her. What, Stevens? Dude, we need to tell her. She's gonna want the wedding band back. This is important. He's like, I know. I just haven't done it. I didn't know what to say. We need to do this. We need to do this right now. So we sat down, pulled up the file and the paperwork, dug out the phone number, hoped that it was still good after all these years, and cold called the widow. She answered. Stevens introduced himself. She remembered who he was. I told the story of finding the wedding band, and she started to cry. She was all sorts of mixed up emotions. She was so happy to be recovering the matching band to her very own. She was so sad to be reliving the loss of her husband yet again. And she was just so appreciative of us for remembering to go back out into the field and look one more time. She regained her composure and paused and said, Do you know what today is? No, what do you mean? Today's date. Today is the 10-year anniversary of the recorded date of death on his death certificate. It has been 10 years since my husband died. Today, September 19th. 100% true. Honest. If you find yourself missing anything valuable, give me a call. I work on commission.